Right. So Kobbie Mainoo is very quickly becoming one of the best central midfield players in the Premier League. Now, whoa, hold on a second. I know. Crazy statement possibly to make after the fact that he was barely even playing under Ruben Amorim, and all of a sudden, in 4 games, I'm saying that he's very quickly becoming one of the best central midfield players in the league. Now, there is reason for what I'm saying, and there is a hell of a lot of evidence backing it up as well. And some of that evidence can actually even be found on Kobbie Mainoo's Instagram page, which is bizarre, I know. But you're just going to have to hear me out on this one. So, Kobbie Mainoo, I mean, when he burst onto the scene anyway, I mean, you can see the talent oozes out of him. I mean, he is a fantastic footballer. And I think one of the things that makes him such a fantastic footballer is his decision making. Now, there's been so much research into the psychology of football players and their decision making, mainly by a guy called Gerd Jordan. I think he's a Scandinavian researcher, but his research is really, really interesting, and it's all about the amount of times someone scans, and if you're scanning more often, the better your decision making will be, essentially. Now, that sounds like fairly obvious research, right? But I think the things that Gerd Jordan kind of found out was that players like Xavi separated themselves not just by scanning when they were on the ball, but just constant looking around all the time when they were off the ball. When they were just about to receive the ball, they'd take a look wherever. Now, one thing that Kobbie Mainoo does naturally, and he does so well, better than virtually any other player in the Premier League, I think, is scanning. He scans constantly. If you watch him, that turn he did against Semenyo against City the other week, he knew where Semenyo was because he'd already made that look. Now, Kobbie Mainoo's decision making is absolutely fantastic. Dare I say world class even. And I think that is kind of what separates him as just a general footballer from other central midfielders. Now, there's other central midfield players in the league who are also very, very good at that now, Rodri being one, for example, especially as he won a Ballon d'Or. I mean, Rodri was also very, very good at that. But I think the thing that is going to very slowly start separating Kobbie Mainoo out is not just his decision-making, not just his footballing ability, his ability in tight spaces. I mean, it's very well known that he was a futsal player when he was younger, which means his touch is just absolutely fantastic. And I mean, he can weave himself out of really tight corners really, really well, really quickly, which is an invaluable skill to have, especially in the Premier League. But Kobbie Mainoo now, and this is where the evidence from his Instagram page comes in, Kobbie Mainoo is not just training as a footballer. And myself being a sprinter back in the day as well, I know of this coach. He's called Jonas Taiwo Dodu. Fantastic sprint coach. I mean, he's coached some of the most brilliant sprinters, especially UK-based sprinters. And I mean, he's had a fantastic track record of creating fast athletes. Now, Kobbie Mainoo was not blessed with speed. But one thing I know, having been a previous sprinter myself, is the other work that goes into it, the strength work. Now, I've seen some of what Jonas and Kobbie are doing together in the gym. Now, Kobbie is not just training to be a footballer at this point. Now, before I get into that, I think it's important to kind of mention that footballers, they train a lot on the pitch. They train a lot with their skills. They train a lot with the passing, with the shooting. They're very short, sharp drills, decision-making on the pitch. A lot of rondos, a lot of shooting exercises, a lot of tight game kind of scenarios. What you'd see kind of on a football pitch just before a team was about to play, when they're warming up maybe. A lot of that kind of is what they might do as a professional footballer within training. Now, that's all brilliant. You absolutely have to do that kind of thing because that is what gets you match sharp, game sharp. And Kobbie Mainoo right now, looking pretty game sharp if you ask me. But he's been working extremely hard in the gym since last summer, possibly even before then. That was when the evidence started showing up, especially with Lenny Yoro. He's been in there with Lenny Yoro doing this. And you just look at the size difference between Kobbie Mainoo since he's been with Jonas and way before he was with Jonas. And it's the same with Lenny Yoro as well. The size difference on both of them, they have both packed on a serious amount of muscle. And I don't think this is just a coincidence. Now, Kobbie Mainoo is very quickly, as I said, becoming one of the best central midfield players in the Premier League. Now, before, I thought he was fantastic anyway. His decision-making was brilliant, and he was able to just kind of get around players with his dribbling. Fantastic. But he's adding elements to his game now which I didn't know were going to be there. Not for a long time. Now, Steve Howson kind of mentioned that he's kind of slowly becoming almost like a little Seedorf. Now, I can't argue that comparison really, because what we're seeing from Kobbie Mainoo now is he's winning duels. I think he's won the most amount of duels over these last 4 games. What? Kobbie Mainoo doing that? I mean, months ago I wouldn't even thought that was possible. But he's winning duels. He's going into duels. He's going in hard. He's winning them. It's fantastic. Now, the other thing is I've noticed is he's also running the most. Kobbie Mainoo running the most in a match. I mean, usually a central midfield players will run the most, but for it to be Kobbie Mainoo, I was surprised. But then I kind of looked at what he's doing with Jonas. Now, training to be a footballer is different to just training to be a good and top quality athlete as well. Very different. Footballers need a lot of this. They need a lot of knowledge about the game. They need to be practicing that knowledge constantly on the football pitch all the time. And yes, they do extras and stuff in the gym. But also those gym sessions, they probably don't look like what Jonas is doing with him. Now, what Jonas is doing with him is strength-based, it's fitness-based. He's becoming an athlete. And if anyone's got fantastic repertoire in making top athletes, it's Jonas, especially in the UK. I mean, he's seen people like Axel Tuanzebe. He's trained fantastic sprinters in the past like CJ Ujah, Reece Prescott. He's got an array of people who he's trained and got to an elite level. Now, I think one thing that is really, really showing with Kobbie now is he is showing that he's not just a footballer, but he is now becoming an athlete, a top athlete. As I say, there is a difference between just being a top football player and being a top football player and being a top athlete. And Kobbie Mainoo is kind of getting that combination. And you can't argue it anymore because the duels are there. He's strong. He's solid. He's robust. And he's also running. He's fit. He's running a hell of a lot. And that sort of distance makes a huge difference on a football pitch. If you've got a player in central midfielder who can run the show like that, make duels like that as well, and win most of them, then you're onto a little bit of a winner. Now, I think going back into the summer, because obviously Casemiro is going, and I think Casemiro's resurgence has been fantastic. It's lovely to see. It's great to watch him and Kobbie in midfield playing the way they're playing. It's almost like Ruben Amorim completely missed a trick. Anyway, I digress. But in the summer, we're going to have to replace Casemiro, not Kobbie. We're going to have to replace Casemiro with someone who complements Kobbie. Now, Kobbie is looking like he is actually able to do that number 8 role, almost be a progressive player, but also do little bits of the dirty work as well in terms of the winning the duels and a lot of the running. But we need someone in there who is going to take a little bit of the physical load off him as well to make sure that he is sharp all the time. Now, there's been names mentioned: Elliot Anderson, Adam Wharton, Carlos Baleba. Now, all 3 of them kind of fill that gap, which is fantastic because I think it's going to allow Kobbie to progress and be the guy in centre midfield for us. I think the next signing is so important for Man United because the next signing is going to almost not unlock Kobbie, because I think he's unlocking himself now, especially with this extra training that he's doing. But I think it's so important to get the next signing absolutely spot on because it's going to allow Kobbie to thrive. Now, I think if you have a thriving Kobbie Mainoo in central midfield, it's going to look pretty scary for all the other teams in the Premier League, because I really believe that Kobbie Mainoo, as I said, he's not just becoming one of the best central midfield players in the Premier League, but he's also looking at becoming one of the best athletes in the Premier League. I mean, you look at other athletes in the Premier League, someone like Adama Traore, fantastic athlete. Obviously, he's got a good level of football about him as well because he's made it as a professional in the Premier League. But his end product leaves a little bit to be desired, whereas Kobbie Mainoo's end product is good. Now, if Kobbie can pair being the top footballer he is and can be with also being a fantastic, phenomenal athlete as well, fantastic. And I think that's what it takes to be one of the best, especially in this day and age of football. And I think Kobbie is well on his way to becoming that. Now, I think in the next couple of months we're going to see a huge difference in Kobbie Mainoo. I think he's going to be such an important player for us, like he's already proving now. But I don't think it's a coincidence. He's been putting that work in since at least the summer, possibly even before that, as I said. I'll be interested to hear what you guys think in the comments. I'll be interested to start this discussion about Kobbie Mainoo and kind of hear anyone else's opinions on it, because I think there could be a load of different takes on this one. But anyway, drop a like if you want, possibly even subscribe, and I look forward to hearing those comments. I like to get engaged in those comments myself as well. Cheers, guys.